This video is not a story. Maybe your final warning. The books are opened, and most people receive their books from the left. On that day, there is no escape from the punishment of Allah. Jahannam moves forward in anger, the Zabaniyah are waiting, and the punishment destroys everything. Some try to escape the fire. They jump into places they think are seas, but it is not water. It is oceans of molten lava. When they come out, giant scorpions are waiting for them. One sting, and the poison spreads. They suffer that pain for 40 years. If even one drop of that poison fell into the oceans of the world, every living thing would die. And then, that terrible cold that reaches the bones. A freezing Zamharir cold that the people of Jahannam beg to be thrown back into the fire. Truths you have never heard before. 4 different descriptions of Jahannam, and one of them starts in this world. You are watching Religious Story TV. After our Jannah video, we continue with Jahannam. Subscribe to the channel to not miss the series. Like this video, comment your country. If you are ready, let's begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. On that day, Jahannam will be brought forward. On that day, the human being will understand. But what benefit will that understanding have for him? Surah Fajr 23. Jahannam is like a living monster. Angry, hungry, wild. When it sees people, it tries to rush faster. It pulls on the chains. 70,000 angels hold it with difficulty. Jahannam roars. It wants to eat people. As Jahannam gets closer to Mahshar, the anger inside it cannot be contained. The gates of Jahannam are wide open. The angels of punishment are waiting. Who will enter first? Fir'aun, Abu Jahl, Namrud? No. The shocking truth is this. The fire will first be lit for those who used religion for worldly gain. 3 people are brought forward in the field of Mahshar. The first is a martyr. He says, "I fought for you, my Lord." The answer shakes the heavens. You are lying. You fought so people would say, "What a brave man." And that was said. He is dragged on his face and thrown into the fire. The second is a scholar. He says, "I learned knowledge for you. I recited the Qur'an for you." You are lying. You did it so people would say, "What a great scholar, how beautifully he recites." And that was said. He is also thrown face down into Jahannam. The third is a rich man who gave charity. He says, "I spent in your path." You are lying. You gave so people would say, "What a generous man." These are the first fuel of Jahannam. Showing off, hypocrisy, the absence of sincerity. The fire does not burn appearances. It burns the dark intention inside the heart. The first people to be judged on the day of judgment will be these. Muslim Imara 152. Everyone will then wait according to their level until their judgment comes. And now, it is your turn. Imagine your book being given from the left. The ego always imagined hell for others. Now, to bring the ego back to itself, imagine yourself here. Your right side is empty. On your left side is a pitch-black book. This is everything you did. Not a single thing is missing. Every prayer you did not pray. Every haram you consumed. Every sin you committed. All of it is there, alive. You want to scream. No sound comes out. Your throat tightens. These are sins that would have been forgiven if you had repented in the world. Now they stand in front of you. From your lips, only the verse of terrible regret comes out. I wish I had not been given my book. I wish I had never known what my account was. I wish death had finished everything. Surah Haqqa 25. Perhaps you will say it with the words of the Qur'an. As for the one who is given his book from the left, he will say, "I wish I were dust." Surah Naba 40. Now there is only one direction on the horizon. A dark, smoky abyss, red and black. You are at the beginning of the Sirat. Behind it are endless pits. This is not even the beginning of the end. This is only the entrance. The Qur'an declares, "O criminals, separate yourselves today." Surah Yasin 59. The field of Mahshar is behind you now. In front of you there is only one path. Below you, a boiling, roaring, pitch-black abyss. Above you, a thin line stretching toward the goal, the Sirat. Darkness as far as the eye can see. No light, no sun, no moon. Only the light of those who believed. For some, their light shines like a mountain, lighting the whole path. For others, it is only a weak spark, enough to see the tip of their toe. It flickers, it fades. You look at the bridge, thinner than a strand of hair, sharper than the edge of a sword. You must step forward. There is no return. On the right and the left, massive hooks are hanging, crooked iron claws like sharp thorns. They are waiting for the command. They know who to catch, they know who to pull down, a sound like rushing wind. The believers pass, some like lightning. In the blink of an eye, they are across. Some like the wind, some like fast-running horses. The prophets stand at the beginning of the bridge, on their lips only one prayer. "O Allah, grant safety. O Allah, grant safety." And then come the others, those whose light goes out, the hypocrites. They cry out, "Wait for us, let us take some of your light." But the answer is harsh. Go back. The bridge shakes, feet slip, the hooks move, the sound of iron piercing flesh, the crack of bones, a scream, then another, then thousands more. People fall like rain into the abyss. The roar from below swallows their cries. There is none of you who will not pass by it. This is a decree firmly decided by your Lord. Surah Maryam 71. The crowd grows smaller. The number of those who fall crushes the number of those who are saved. The most terrifying statistic of Mahshar becomes real. On that day, Adam is called, "O Adam, take out the share of the fire." Adam asks, "What is the share of the fire?" The answer shakes creation. From every 1,999 to the fire, and 1 to paradise. 999 out of 1,000. Billions of people flow into darkness like a waterfall. Jahannam is not just a place, it is an angry beast. With every group thrown into it, it roars. It looks ready to burst from rage. It never gets full. The more people it swallows, the hungrier it becomes. Allah asks it, "Are you filled?" Jahannam answers with its terrifying, deep, rasping voice. On that day we will say to Jahannam, "Are you full?" And it will say, "Is there more? Hel min mazid?" Surah Kaf 30. It swallows. It swallows tyrants. It swallows Pharaoh-like rulers. It consumes those deceived by the world, those who turned their backs on Allah, those who dealt in Riba, those who consumed the rights of orphans. And after crushing and swallowing the last human being, it still cries out, "Is there more?" Some people, while they were in the world, used to hope, "I will be saved. My punishment will be light." So here is the lightest punishment of Jahannam. 2 burning coals of fire are placed under their feet. Do not think only the souls burn. From the intensity of those 2 coals, the brain inside the skull boils like water in a pot. That person feels the pain so strongly that he cries out, "There is no one in existence who suffers more than me." But in reality, he is the one with the lightest punishment in Jahannam. So what about the heaviest? The Qur'an says, "There are chains and iron collars around their necks." Surah Ghafir 71. These chains do not only bind the body, these chains bind hope. Tears flow, but these tears do not save. The Qur'an declares, neither their crying will benefit them, nor will their excuses be accepted. Surah Rum 57. These tears are regret that came too late. The edge of Jahannam, the sea of lava and giant scorpions, those burning in fire try to escape. They see what looks like a shore. Water, they cry. There is a coast, there is salvation. When they reach it, hope turns into terror. It is not water, it is a sea of pus and lava. They are forced to swim, their skin melts as they move. They try to reach the shore, but something is waiting there. Scorpions. Scorpions as large as camels. Their tails are full of poison. They strike once. The pain of that poison does not fade for 40 years. If a single drop of that poison fell into the world, the oceans would turn into poison, and every living thing on earth would die. There are snakes. Snakes that wrap around necks. Snakes that enter the body and reach the organs. There is no escape. The sea is fire. The shore is poison. Physical pain is not enough. Mental collapse begins. The people of Jahannam turn on each other. Friends from the world are now bitter enemies. They attack their leaders. We are here because of you. You led us astray. The leaders push them away. We had no power over you. You chose rebellion yourselves. They run to Shaitan. You deceived us. Shaitan climbs onto a pulpit of fire and delivers the final blow. Allah promised you a true promise. I also promised you, but I broke my promise. I had no power over you. I only called you and you responded. So do not blame me. Blame yourselves. Surah Ibrahim 22. The truth strikes their minds like a hammer. We deserved this. Regret, but useless. Time is over. The term has ended. The doors are closed. Now there is only screaming and the sound of fire. There were some sins that matched very severe punishments in Jahannam. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, saw some of them on the night of Miraj when he was raised to the heavens. The first group he saw was the people who consumed Riba. Their bellies were as large as houses, swollen, massive. They tried to stand, but they kept falling because of the weight of their stomachs. Their bellies were transparent. Inside, there was movement. Snakes. Snakes twisted together, biting each other, clearly visible from the outside. These were the people who consumed riba in the world. Unjust gain had turned into a poisonous mass inside their bodies. The angels of punishment stepped on them morning and evening. There was no escape. Those who consume riba will not stand except as one stands whom Shaitan has driven to madness by his touch. Surah Baqarah 275. In the second group, he saw the people who committed Ghiba. Their nails had grown long, not of bone, of copper. Burning, sharp copper nails. They were tearing their own faces apart. They were covered in blood. Jibril, alayhi salam, whispered, "These are the ones who used to eat the flesh of people and attack their honor." Those who hurt others with their tongues in the world were tearing themselves apart with their own hands there. In the third group, he saw the people who committed Zina. They were inside a huge pit, narrow at the top, wide at the bottom. Loud cries were coming from inside. The Prophet looked. Naked men and women were inside. Flames burned them horribly. They rose up to the mouth of the furnace but could not escape and fell back down again. That furnace was the hereafter form of those forbidden beds and secret rooms of the world. Jahannam is an intelligent fire. It does not burn randomly. It punishes according to the sin. For example, those who were arrogant in the world, those who looked down on people, those who were proud of their status and wealth. Their forms will be changed in Mahshar and in Jahannam. They will be raised in the form of small red ants. They will have human shapes, but the size of ants. Everyone will step on them. They will taste the deepest level of humiliation. In the world they were the greatest. Now they are the smallest. Fire torments them, feet crush them. Those who consumed alcohol and drugs will suffer intense thirst. A river will flow in front of them. But it is not water, it is tinat al-kabal, a mixture of sweat, blood and pus flowing from the bodies of the people of Jahannam. Those who numbed their minds in the world will be forced to drink the waste of bodies there. In an authentic hadith in Bukhari, the Prophet said, A man will be seen whose intestines are coming out of his stomach. The people of Jahannam will gather around him and ask, "Did you not command us to do good in the world? Why are you here?" The man will answer in pain, "Yes, I commanded you to do good, but I did not do it myself. I forbade you from evil, but I did it myself." One of the most painful moments of Jahannam is this. When the punishment reaches its peak, the people of Jahannam look upward. They see the people of paradise. They recognize them, relatives, neighbors. They beg, "Pour some water on us, or throw to us some of what Allah has provided you." Allah answers in the verse, "Indeed, Allah has forbidden them for the disbelievers." Surah Araf 50. Communication is cut. The curtain falls. No one will hear their voices anymore. This is the condition of those who committed major sins, and even among the people of Jahannam, not everyone enters through the same gate. There are 7 gates, larger than mountains. 7 different groups will enter Jahannam, and each group will pass through a gate according to its level. Each gate is for different sinners. Each level has a different kind of punishment. We will move from the lightest to the most severe. The guardian of these gates is Malik. His eyes are like thunder. His face is harsh. He has never smiled. Since the day Jahannam was created, Malik has stood guard without shaking, without mercy. The Prophet ﷺ said, "On that day, Jahannam will be brought with 70,000 chains. Each chain will have a handle, and with every handle there will be 70,000 angels pulling Jahannam forward." Now let us enter through the first gate. The first gate, Jahannam. The first gate opens with a groan that shakes the heavens. Written on its gate is Jahannam. It means a deep pit. This is for believers. It is for Muslims who believed but lived in neglect. Believers who missed their prayers. Believers who said, "I will pray later." Believers who made lying a habit. Believers who harmed people, treated them badly, and consumed the rights of others. Believers who said, "Allah will forgive," but never repented. They tremble as they enter. Were we not believers? Did we not say the Shahada? Yes, they did. But they did not live by its requirements. The punishment at this level is temporary. It lasts only as long as their sins. After that, they will be taken out and enter paradise, but until that day, they will burn. The fire here is the lightest, yet it is 70 times hotter than the fire of the world. There is a saying attributed to Abu Bakr, "O Lord, make my body so large in Jahannam that there is no space left for anyone else." This was said only for the first level, so that no space would remain for sinful believers. It was a prayer to save all believers. The second gate, Laza. The second gate opens with a savage scream, a flame that tears apart and consumes, pure fire, without smoke. This fire is alive. It thinks, it has awareness, it focuses on its prey. It searches for those who mocked Islam, those who laughed when verses were recited, those who made fun of believers. Laza sees them. It strips flesh from bone, crushes bones and chews them. Then it allows the body to be rebuilt, because here pain is an endless cycle. It is a fire that scorches the skin and reaches the flesh. It calls out. Surah Mudathir 29. In Laza, the punishment is specific. Each sin has its own punishment. The eye that mocked burns. The ear that mocked burns. The third gate, Sakar. The third gate opens in deep silence. Sakar, a burning, consuming fire, extremely severe. Written on its gate, "The selfish belong here." Inside is a special punishment, the punishment of selfishness. Those who saw the hungry and said, "That is not my problem." Those who knew the orphan but walked past. Those who saw the poor and turned their eyes away. Those who ignored the one asking for help. Those who loved comfort and did not care about the pain of others. They will be asked, "What drove you into Sakar?" They will say, "We were not among those who prayed, and we did not feed the poor." Surah Mudathir 42-44. Sakar pulls them inside. Their selfishness becomes fuel for the flames. Now they ask for help, but no one hears. Now they are hungry, but no one feeds them. Now they are thirsty, but no one gives them water. The pain they caused in the world now returns to them. Deviant and sinful Jews will burn here as well. Those who killed prophets, groups who distorted the truth. The fourth gate, Hutama. The fourth gate opens with a metallic crash. Hutama, the fire that crushes hearts, the shattering fire. Written on its gate, "The lovers of wealth belong here." Inside is gold and silver, but not as you knew them. Melted, burning. For those obsessed with wealth, those who kept counting money, those who always said more, more. Rich people who mocked the poor, polytheists who worshipped wealth. Woe to every slanderer and mocker who gathers wealth and keeps counting it, thinking that his wealth will make him live forever. No, he will surely be thrown into Hutama. Surah Humaza 1-4. Their gold is now chains around their necks. Their silver is now iron whips. Hutama crushes them. It is the kindled fire of Allah which reaches the hearts. Surah Humaza 6-7. Hutama does not burn only bodies. It targets hearts, greedy hearts, hungry hearts, hearts filled with love of wealth. It burns them, melts them away, then revives them, then burns them again. An endless cycle, an endless punishment. And the Qur'an also says, "Those who hoard gold and silver and do not spend it in the way of Allah, give them news of a painful punishment. On the day when that gold and silver will be heated in the fire of Jahannam, and their foreheads, sides and backs will be branded with it. This is the treasure you stored for yourselves, so taste what you used to store." Surah Tawbah 34-35. The fifth gate, Kahim. The fifth gate opens with an angry roar. Kahim, a furnace of flame, a fire that rises in layers. Written on its gate, "The tyrants belong here." Tyrants who boasted of their power, oppressors who crushed the weak, the arrogant who said, "I am the best," rulers who oppressed their people, bosses who abused their workers, husbands who beat their wives, fathers who oppressed their children. Those who believed their thrones stood above the arsh of Allah. Proud, arrogant, filled with pride, Kahim welcomes them. Their crowns disappear, their titles burn away, their faces are pressed into fire. For the destruction of every arrogant tyrant, Surah Ibrahim 15. Their pride melts drop by drop. Their arrogance burns in flames. The fire swallows every title they loved. Now there is only one name, the punished servant. Only one identity remains, the people of Jahannam. They will be dragged into a prison in Jahannam called Bulis. They will be surrounded by the fire of fires. They will drink from Tinat al-Kabal, a mixture of blood, pus and filth flowing from the people of Jahannam. The sixth gate, Sire. The sixth gate opens with a battle cry, an angry fire, an attacking fire, a wild fire of flames. Written on its gate, "The makers of war belong here, enemies of the prophets, architects of bloodshed, those who spread chaos and corruption, war instigators, provocateurs who destroyed peace. They did not only reject the truth, they tried to kill it." In Sire there is a special punishment. Every bone screams. Every breath is like swallowing broken glass. They hear the screams of the people they oppressed, echoing inside the flames. In the end, their own voices join this chorus of pain. When they are thrown into it, they hear it raging. Surah Mulk 7. Sire never rests. It never grows tired. It keeps chasing them. It keeps burning them. It keeps punishing them. The seventh gate, Al-Hawiyah. The seventh gate opens with a deep groan, Al-Hawiyah, a bottomless pit, the lowest depth of Jahannam, the root of Jahannam, the deepest, the darkest, a pit with no end, written on its gate, the hypocrites belong here. The most dangerous sinners, those who say La ilaha illallah with their tongues, but betray with their hearts. Those who wear the mask of faith, those who live empty lives, those with double standards, those who plot behind the backs of Muslims, those who deceive them, those who were happy to rule and dominate in the world. Indeed, the hypocrites will be in the lowest level of Jahannam, and you will never find for them any helper. Surah Nisa 145. In Al-Hawiyah, there is a special punishment. Masks are torn away forever, lies are exposed, true faces are revealed, even the fire trembles, because hypocrisy is the most poisonous lie, the most dangerous disease, the greatest betrayal. Those who fall into Al-Hawiyah keep falling forever. They never reach the bottom, because hypocrisy has no bottom. This place is exclusive. Allah prepared this place specifically for the enemies of Islam. Why? Because these are not like ordinary idol worshippers or ordinary atheists. These are people who worked against Islam in a planned and deliberate way. They came among Muslims pretending to be Muslim. Then they went back and said, "We deceived them." Because they knowingly and consciously showed hostility to the religion of Allah, this place is set apart for them. The root of the Zaqqum tree in Jahannam is here. Its branches and fruits then spread to the other levels of Jahannam. When the Prophet was shown the levels of Jahannam during the Miraj, the gates of the seventh level, Al-Hawiyah, were opened. After the gate of Al-Hawiyah was opened, the Prophet asked, "O Jibril, what kind of level of punishment is this?" Jibril alayhi salam said, "O Messenger of Allah, when the gate of this seventh level was opened, the angels of punishment from the sixth level saw it. They fell into prostration, crying. They prayed to Allah, 'O Lord, keep us safe from the punishment of this seventh level. Protect us.' Allah granted them safety. Then they were calmed. This is the level of punishment of the seventh gate. It is mentioned in a hadith, there is a pit in Jahannam. This refers to a pit within Al-Hawiyah in the seventh level. Allah throws Jahannam into that pit 70 times, and only then does it reach the bottom. Allah throws the other levels of Jahannam into this pit to intensify their punishment and increase their severity. The fire there becomes even more intense. By Allah, Jahannam seeks refuge in Allah from that pit 400 times a day. Jahannam itself seeks refuge in Allah from that pit. Such is the severity of that place. Jahannam is a living, conscious being. It is not just stone and soil. It is not a prison wall. It breathes, it sees, it hears. It is alive, aware, and has a spirit. It knows you. It knows the sins you committed in the world. It holds a personal hatred toward you. When it sees you from far away, it growls like a predator seeing its prey. It swells with rage, almost ready to burst. The walls of this place do not only cause physical pain, they stare at you with hostility. Psychological pressure is heavier than fire. The place itself does not want you. When the fire sees them from a distant place, they will hear its fury and roaring. Surah Furqan 12. And its inhabitants, the torturers. They are not jinn, they are not shayatin, they are angels who do not move even a hair away from the command of Allah, Zabaniyah. But they are not like the angels you imagine. Allah removed pity from their hearts. Begging is useless, crying is useless, their mercy is blind and deaf. In their hands are iron tools. With one strike they can shatter 70,000 people. Over them is Malik, silent, serious, a face frozen by ages. Even looking at him is a punishment. O you who believe, protect yourselves and your families from a fire whose fuel is people and stones. Over it are angels, harsh and strong. They do not disobey Allah in what He commands them, and they do what they are commanded. Surah Tahrim 6. You are not there with your worldly body. That weak, small body could not last 1 second in that fire. It would vanish. But the goal is not to vanish. The goal is to taste pain. So you go through a terrifying transformation. Your body becomes huge. One of your molar teeth becomes as large as Mount Uhud. The distance between your shoulders becomes the travel of 3 days for a fast rider. Why? More surface area, more nerve endings, more places to burn. As your skin burns, new skin appears beneath it. This is how the map of pain is expanded. It is becoming a stranger to yourself, trapped inside your own enlarged body. In the world, there is a pain limit. If the pain becomes too much, you faint. The brain shuts down to protect you. There, this mechanism is cancelled. Your senses stay wide open. Your nerves are exposed. No fainting. Your eyes become sharp enough to see the smallest horror. Your ears become sensitive enough to hear the faintest groan. The fire of the world is a washed version of the fire of Jahannam, put out 70 times. Jahannam was burned for 1,000 years and became red. Then it was burned for another 1,000 years and became white. Then it was burned for another 1,000 years and became black. Now it is pitch dark. It gives no light. It only burns. Black flame. Even its shadow is smoke, burning inside darkness. The flame has no color, only heat. It wraps around you like an invisible hand. You run from fire, you hide in a corner. You think there is no fire there. But there is Zamharir, a cold that freezes molecules. It freezes the skin and makes it fall off in pieces. It crushes bones into fragments. When the people of Jahannam enter that cold, the cracking of bones is heard. The pain is so intense that they beg, "Throw us back into the fire." Heat and cold, two opposite extremes, a cycle that shocks the body and destroys it. You become hungry, your stomach twists. Hunger becomes worse than fire. A table is placed in front of you. The Zaqqum tree, its root is in the deepest part of Jahannam. Its fruit is like the heads of shayatin. You eat, you have to. As it goes down your throat, it feels like swallowing barbed wire. It melts your stomach. It boils inside you like melted metal. You become thirsty. Cries of water shake the arsh. You are given boiling water, hamim and pus gusak. It tears your intestines and spills them out, but you heal again, so you can eat again, so you can drink again. Indeed, the tree of Zaqqum is the food of the sinful. It is like melted metal, boiling in the bellies like the boiling of scalding water. Surah Dukhan 43. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was sitting with his companions. A huge sound was heard. Boom. He asked, "Do you know what that sound is?" They said, "Allah and His Messenger know best." He said, "That was a stone thrown from the mouth of Jahannam 70 years ago. It has only now reached the bottom. Think about it. A stone in free fall, falling for 70 years, falling at terrible speed, and only now hitting the bottom. This is the pit you are falling into. No exit. Climbing is impossible. When you look up, there is only darkness. When you look down, there is infinity." Jahannam al-Sughra, the hell beneath our feet. Jahannam is not as far as you think. Look at your feet, at the ground you step on, at the surface you trust. What is only a few kilometers beneath it? Darkness, pressure, fire. Jahannam al-Sughra, the small hell. This is the earthly extension of the great hell, Jahannam al-Kubra, its core, its seed. We walk on a very thin shell. Beneath us is a massive ocean that roars and boils, melting iron and stone like water, magma. Science calls it the core. Religion calls it Jahannam al-Sughra. Both point to the same truth. We are standing on fire. Go down to the center of the earth, to the deepest point. The temperature there reaches 6,000 degrees Celsius, the same temperature as the surface of the sun. The sun is above our heads. A sample of it is beneath our feet. Allah made us live between two fires. This fire is active right now. It is burning right now. It is not extinct. When it erupts from volcanoes, it melts mountains, it swallows cities. Those lavas are only a small breath of what lies below. A person dies, a disbeliever, a hypocrite, or an oppressor. He is buried only 2 meters under the soil. The body decays there. But what about the soul? For the soul, the veil is lifted. The prophet said, "The grave is either a garden from the gardens of paradise or a pit from the pits of Jahannam." Where do you think that pit opens? Right here, to the center, to that sea of magma in the heart of the earth. The souls of disbelievers are not free in the realm of Barzakh. They are now detained in this surah beneath the ground. Fir'aun is there. Abu Jahl is there. Namrud is there. Every morning and every evening they are presented to the fire. The great court has not yet been established, but detention has begun. This is their cell, hot, narrow, suffocating. The fire, they are exposed to it morning and evening, and on the day the hour is established, it will be said, "Admit the family of Fir'aun to the most severe punishment." Surah Mu'min 46. When you feel the suffocating heat of summer, what do you think of? The sun? No, this is a message from below. Jahannam complained to its Lord, "O my Lord, parts of me are consuming other parts. Give me some relief." Allah allowed it to breathe twice a year, 1 breath in summer, 1 breath in winter, the burning, choking, unbearable heat of summer. This is the breath Jahannam releases outward. The freezing, bone-breaking cold of winter, Zamharir. This is the breath Jahannam pulls inward. Even the seasons move with its rhythm. When the heat rises, you sweat. You feel overwhelmed. This is a warning. "I am here," it says. "I am below, and even 1 breath of mine is enough to burn you." The intensity of heat is from the boiling of Jahannam. Bukhari, Mawaqit 9. When the earth shakes, when buildings collapse, when fault lines break. Is this only tectonic movement? Yes, materially, but what about spiritually? That massive force below trembles under the weight of the sins above it. Sometimes Allah allows that monster to move, to wake those who are asleep in heedlessness. That surah beneath the earth is doing its duty. It reminds you of death. It shows you how fragile the ground really is. Human beings think they own the world, but in reality they live on a thin shell, on the lid of a boiling pot. Do not forget, Jahannam al-Sughra, the earth's core, is a seed. Jahannam al-Manawi, the distress and guilt inside you, is a seed. When the day of judgment comes, when the world is torn apart, these seeds will unite. The sun will be folded, the stars will scatter, the earth will vomit its molten lava, its melted metals, and that eruption will solidify into a rigid prison in the hereafter. This is how Jahannam al-Kubra will be formed. The fire you lived upon in the world will become the fire you enter in the hereafter. So watch where you place your feet. The streets you walk on with confidence are actually the lid of an abyss, and that lid can open at any moment. The wisdom of terror and the sword of justice. A question gnaws at your mind. Allah is infinitely merciful. So why does such a terrifying place exist? Why eternal punishment? The answer is not what you think. Jahannam was not born from cruelty. Jahannam was born from justice and truth. This is not just a torture chamber. This is the immense weight that keeps the universe in balance, the darkest face of creation, yet the most necessary one. If Jahannam did not exist, the universe would be a mistake. Why? Look at the world. Tyrants die on their thrones. The oppressed die in pain. Hitler slaughtered millions. Fir'aun slaughtered babies. Modern tyrants bombed cities and lived comfortably in palaces. Then what happened? They died only once. Is this justice? They took millions of lives, yet paid with only 1 life. Is the account closed? No. If Jahannam did not exist, their crimes would remain profit. The rights of the oppressed would be lost. Jahannam is the manifestation of the divine name Adl, justice. There is no death there. The tyrant will suffer again and again for every life he took, for every drop of blood he spilled, for every coin he stole. He will die repeatedly, but he will not die. Jahannam is water poured on the burning heart of the oppressed. Jahannam is the place where the one who said, "My right is forbidden," collects his right with fire. Do not think that Allah is unaware of what the wrongdoers do. He only delays them until a day when eyes will stare in horror. Surah Ibrahim 42. Allah has two major dimensions of names. Jamal, beauty Jalal. Majesty Jannah shows his mercy, generosity and kindness. But what about his power? What about his might? What about his overwhelming force? Allah is Qahar, the one who subdues. Allah is Muntaqim, the one who takes retribution. Allah is Aziz, the unconquerable. Where will these names appear? Where will they find their mirror? Jahannam is the vast exhibition of Allah's names of majesty. While people suffer there, they taste a truth. There is no limit to the power of Allah. The people of Jannah know him through grace. The people of Jahannam know him through force. Knowing Allah, Marifatullah, is not only through love. Sometimes you know him while trembling. The universe becomes polluted. Kufr is like a virus. Shirk is like poison. Sin is like thick tar covering existence. Where will this filth go? Will it remain forever? No. Allah is Qudus, the pure, the one who purifies. He constantly cleans creation. He cleans insects, he cleans seas, he cleans air. But what about the black stains in the human soul and belief? Jahannam is the purification plant of the universe. A massive furnace, it burns and destroys the pollution of disbelief and rebellion that contaminates existence. Fire is the strongest disinfectant. Jahannam ensures the hygiene of existence. It gathers evil into itself and locks it there so that Jannah remains pure. In this world, everything is mixed. Good and evil are intertwined. Believers and hypocrites stand in the same line. Truth and falsehood share the same market. But Allah is Furqan, the one who separates. Harvest time has come. Wheat must be separated from straw. Gold must be separated from soil. Jahannam is the final point of separation. All evil, all corruption, all ugliness is gathered into one pool, Jahannam. All goodness, all beauty, all light is gathered into one pool, Jannah. The day of judgment is the day of this great separation. There is no gray area anymore. You are either black or white. And the deepest, most striking wisdom, the powerful insight of Bediüzzaman Sayyid Nursi. The existence of Jahannam is better than non-existence. How? Is burning better than ceasing to exist? Yes. Human nature longs for eternity. The soul longs to exist. Non-existence is absolute evil. It is nothingness, erasure, unconsciousness. Even the people of Jahannam carry the fundamental value of existence. They exist, they live, they feel, even in pain they are. If Allah had erased them completely, that would be the greatest insult to existence itself. They beg, destroy us, but this is the desire of the ego. Deep within the soul, the desire to exist is stronger than the desire to vanish. By granting them existence, Allah shows a form of mercy within wrath. The hell of hell is non-existence. Existence, even in fire, is greater than nothingness. This is why Jahannam exists. Not a random outburst of anger, a masterpiece of balance, a force that stops the tyrant, a fire that cleans pollution, a gate that carries eternity. If Jahannam did not exist, Jannah would lose its meaning. Light is known by darkness. Mercy is understood through wrath. You will understand the value of Jannah when you hear the terrifying roar of Jahannam. Cosmic architecture and invisible worlds, 4 realms on a single stage. The world is not just moving, it is drawing something. Lift your head and look at the sky. You see stars, you see emptiness. But there is a massive construction site you cannot see. The Earth moves through space at 108,000 kilometers per hour. This is not random motion, it is drawing a circle, it is marking a boundary. Every year, with its huge journey around the sun, the Earth encloses an enormous area in space. Bediüzzaman lifts the veil and says, with its yearly movement, the Earth draws the borders of the future field of Mashar. So the space we float in, send rockets into and call empty, is not empty at all. That space will be flattened when the day of judgment comes. It will become the ground of the great court where billions will gather. Right now, we are circling inside the construction site of the court where we will be judged. Think of a field. A tractor plows the edges to mark the borders. The Earth is that tractor. Its elliptical orbit around the sun is the frame of the field of Mashar. When the day comes, when the heavens are folded, when the stars fall, the Earth will release that spiritual ground it has been weaving with its motion. That area will be laid out flat, like a white sheet. From the first human to the last, everyone will be gathered in the space where the Earth is now moving, but on its hereafter form. There is no escape. Even if you board a spaceship, you will only crash into the ceiling of the court. What is above and below this field? In hadith, it is said Jannah is beneath the arsh, Jahannam is beneath the earth. But which earth? The earth is round. Where is below? Here is the great secret. If the field of Mashar is the huge circle drawn by the earth's orbit, then Jahannam is below that circle, and Jannah is above that circle, like a building. Ground floor, the field of Mashar. Basement floors going downward, Jahannam al-Kubra, 7 levels. Upper floors going upward, Jannah, 8 levels. Right now, the earth is moving on the ceiling of Jahannam and on the floor of Jannah. We are being tested in the thin corridor between two vast worlds, between two opposite poles. Why can we not see them with telescopes? Why can we not see them? Why does the James Webb Space Telescope not photograph Jahannam? The answer is not outside physics, it is inside it. Bediüzzaman says, Jahannam is fire without light. It does not shine. It is dark. Think of black holes. They have mass, they have gravity, they swallow everything, but they give no image. They swallow light. Perhaps the vast oceans we call dark matter or dark energy are Jahannam itself or its reflection. And it is also veiled. Allah placed a filter over our sight so the test would not be broken. If you could lift your head right now and see the massive cauldron of Jahannam boiling beneath the orbit, who would deny? Everyone would fall into prostration. Then there would be no difference between Abu Bakr and Abu Jahl. Iman is belief in the unseen. Believing after seeing is not faith, it is confirmation. Right now, 4 different realms exist on a single stage, intertwined. This world. The physical world you see and touch. Your body is here. The realm of Barzakh, the waiting place of souls. The souls of the dead are here. The realm of Jahannam connected to the small Jahannam in the earth's core and the great Jahannam beneath the orbit. The realm of Jannah, above the orbit, beyond the heavens, the worlds of light. Remember, the magma at the center of the earth, Jahannam al-Sughra, is the core of the great Jahannam. When the day of judgment comes and the earth is shattered, that core will crack open. Its 6,000-degree potential will spill beneath the orbit and unite with the great Jahannam. Your inner Iman core will also crack open. It will unite with Jannah. Everything is a seed. The world is the field and nursery of the hereafter. Whatever you plant here, you will harvest there. With every step you take, with every word you speak, you place a brick into that cosmic structure. You are either building a staircase that rises from the field of Mashar to Jannah, or you are digging a pit that descends from that ground into Jahannam. The sun is the center of the solar system, the source of heat and light. What will happen to it in the hereafter? The Qur'an says, when the sun is folded up. Surah Takwir 1. Some explanations say the sun will be thrown into Jahannam. Perhaps the sun is a spark leaking from the upper layers of Jahannam. Perhaps it is a lamp hung above us to remind us of that heat. On the day of Mahshar, when the sun is brought as close as a spear's length, we will no longer see its light-giving face, but its burning face. You are on earth right now, but in reality, you are traveling at 108,000 kilometers per hour on the ceiling of Jahannam and the floor of Jannah. Beneath your feet, a thin crust, beneath it magma, beneath its spiritual extension, the great Jahannam. Above your head, the sky, and beyond its spiritual extension, Jannah. You are the traveler standing between Ahsan al-Taqwim, the best form, and Asfal al-Safilin, the lowest of the low. Choose your direction, upward or downward. The fire within and the anesthesia of heedlessness, Jahannam al-Manawi. The fire does not start outside, it starts inside. We spoke about magma, we spoke about Zabaniyah, scorpions and Zaqqum. You thought these were dangers of the future, places to be entered only after death. You were wrong. Jahannam is with you right now, under your ribcage, inside your heart, in the depths of your soul. If you have no iman, or if sins have darkened your heart, you are already inside spiritual Jahannam. You just do not realize it. The outer fire burns the body, the inner fire burns the soul, and the burning of the soul is deeper, darker, and more lasting than the burning of the body. Think about a disbeliever. What is death for him? The end. Absolute non-existence, decay, turning into soil and insects, eternal separation from loved ones. This thought alone is a shirt of fire. Living every second with the fear, I will cease to exist, is the shadow of Jahannam in the world. Bediüzzaman makes a terrifying statement. The nature of kufr points to Jahannam. If kufr were to take form, it would become a personal Jahannam for that disbeliever. Disbelief is not just an idea. It is a worm eating the soul, meaninglessness, emptiness, the feeling of having no owner. These are spiritual flames. When an atheist buries his father, he feels the punishment of eternal separation. A believer separates with the hope of reunion. This is the difference between worldly Jahannam and worldly Jannah. Then why do they not feel it? Why do disbelievers laugh, enjoy life, and not collapse? Because they are drugged. They hold a bottle called heedlessness, worldly pleasures, entertainment, work, ambition, fame. All of these are anesthesia. They numb the soul. They dull the mind. When a person takes this anesthesia, he temporarily forgets the burning emptiness inside. Like a drunk person who does not feel a wound. His leg is cut, yet he laughs. But when the anesthesia wears off, at the moment of death, at the time of Sakarat, the veil of heedlessness is torn. Then the soul feels that spiritual Jahannam in full clarity. Those laughs today are there to silence the screams within. If that anesthesia did not exist, they would lose their minds from the pain of disbelief. Remember this, the world is a field, your heart is soil, Iman is the seed of Jannah, Kufr and rebellion are the seeds of Jahannam. Right now, you are growing a tree inside your chest. Every lie is watering that poisonous tree. Every haram look is pruning it. Every Ghiba is driving its roots deeper. Bediüzzaman says, everyone carries his own Jahannam or Jannah within. The Zaqqum tree will not come from outside. The seed of kufr and sin inside you will grow and become Zaqqum in the hereafter. Snakes and scorpions will not come from outside. Your tongue that stung people in the world will become a scorpion and sting you. Your jealousy will become a snake and choke you. Jahannam is the outward form of your inner world. You are your own architect. You are carrying your own fire. That tightness you feel after committing a sin, that pressure, that unrest, that is the first spark of Jahannam fire. Allah lets you taste a small sample. He says, look, the taste of this sin is bitter. It burns the soul. If you do not repent, that spark grows. It covers the heart, then surrounds the entire soul. And finally, that spiritual fire turns into physical fire in the hereafter. Jahannam al-Manawi is the trailer of Jahannam al-Kubra. Look at this truth. This world is Jannah for the disbeliever, because compared to the punishment he will see later, this life feels like a palace. This world is Jahannam for the believer, because compared to the blessings of the hereafter, this life feels like a prison. But inside, it is the opposite. A believer carries a Jannah in his heart, even if he is in a prison. A disbeliever carries a Jahannam in his heart, even if he lives in a palace. Ibrahim was thrown into fire, but he did not burn, because the Iman in his heart cooled the fire outside. O fire, be cool and safe for Ibrahim. If you carry that Iman in your heart, the world can become fire and it will not burn you. But if you carry Jahannam inside, you will burn even in an ocean. If you want to escape the fire, first extinguish the fire within. Tawbah is the water poured onto that inner blaze. Sujud is the soil that fills the emptiness. Turning back to Allah is the only cure for that terrifying loneliness. Otherwise, that small seed will turn into a massive fireball. And on that day, there is no anesthesia, no numbing, only pure, sharp, naked pain. Allah gives glad tidings with a powerful verse. He says, "Say, O my servants who have wronged their own souls, do not lose hope in the mercy of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins. Surely He is the most forgiving, the most merciful." Surah Zumar 53. Hope is never cut off from the mercy of Allah. He forgives all sins. But there is a condition. That condition is stated in the very next verse. Turn to your Lord and submit to Him before the punishment comes to you. Then you will not be helped. Surah Zumar 54. It is reported that when this verse was revealed, even Shaitan thought for a moment that he might be forgiven by Allah. One must never forget this truth. Just as the mercy of Allah is infinite, His punishment is also extremely severe. Allah is Rahman, but He is also Qahar. As described in the Qur'an, Allah is the one who forgives sins, the one who accepts repentance, and the one whose punishment is severe. This balance is the final warning.